Welcome, everybody, to episode 181 of WordPress Weekly for Wednesday, February 25th, 2015. I'm your host, Jeff Chandler. And if you can't tell again, I'm sick. I'm sick yet again, joined by my healthy co host, Marcus Couch. Marcus, I'm sick of being
Reports.
sick, man.
Sorry to hear that, man. You need to move into some nicer weather, like the mid 60s, like I got here in Laguna Beach.
Well, it's going to be in the 40s this weekend, so I'm planning on going outside in shorts, but I'm pretty sure that won't help, whatever it is I got.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know what it is, some sort of bronchitis thing. I've been sick, those who've listened to the show, I've been sick since Pressnomics. So it's going on probably over a month now. since,
Jeez.
so I made a doctor's appointment this Friday. First time I've seen a doctor in 10 years. So I guess I'm way overdue, but going to take care of that. But we have no guest tonight. We were going to have uh, the gentleman out from the School of Podcasting, but I'm not sure what happened there. But some wires got crossed, and he was unable to make it today. So just sit back. It's going to be Marcus and I just shooting the bull and giving you some updates on some things that have happened in the WordPress community within the past week.
Yeah, well, we're no slouches either, you know. So listen up, people. Jeff and I are, we're authorities within the community, so we need to be heard.
Yeah, respect my authority. So let's see. First thing I want to talk about is last week I created a poll on WPTavern.com. I usually do this every now and then when I come up with a question. Maybe I just want to get some insight from the readers of the tavern because we have many of them. And I asked a question. I asked them, do you use the sticky post feature in WordPress? So the sticky post was actually introduced in WordPress 2.7. What it does is it gives authors the ability to stick or feature posts to the front page, and you can actually sticky more than one. Now, personally, I've really found a use for these. Granted, I'm not implementing client sites or anything of that nature, and I don't really publish anything that has staying power. So I really haven't used them too much. But out of a total of nearly 300 votes, uh, 66% of the voters said no, they don't use them, while 34% of the vote says yes, they do. And in several of the comments, I noticed that a lot of people use Sticky Post for, let's see, classified type websites, magazine type websites, um, and they also come in handy with themes that utilize Sticky Posts for like featured content sliders. So instead of, back in the day, you used to have to create like a featured category, and that's how they would work. But I think just sticking a post and then the theme automatically knows to put that in the featured content slider, I think that's a lot easier. But that sort of bridges the gap. Sort of makes it a little bit confusing labeling sticky post as featured content, but they sort of work that way. So Marcus, I'll ask you: do you or have you ever used sticky post in WordPress, whether it's personal reasons or for a client site?
Sometimes, and especially on a client site, because sometimes there are things that need to be front and center regarding um, different, maybe services or something like that. And they also have blog posts, but they want their blog posts a little bit further down the chain as far as below the fold. So yes, I've used sticky posts, not too often, but definitely utilize the technology, yes.
Awesome. So if any listeners out there want to chime in on the poll, if you want to email us at jeffc@wptavern.com and let us know if you use Sticky Post. The poll is still open, so if you visit the show notes page, I will have a link to the poll where you can actually submit your response and leave a comment on the post. So let's see. Here's a good question. Just out of the blue, Marcus, what's your thought on content protection plugins for WordPress? Um, I think they do more harm than good. And what I'm talking about is plugins that disable right click or remove the view source button in the browsers. You can't read the source code of websites. Just before we dive into this, what's your general take on these types of plugins?
I'm not into it. Um, I feel like if I'm going to post something, then what do I care? What do I care if somebody right clicks and saves a picture, chances are I probably ripped the picture off anyway. So um, I don't find them very functional, and I think that it kind of takes away from the user experience. And if they want to save it and share it, even if they want to look at my source code, so what? Who cares? Knock yourself out.
So Mika Epstein, who helps oversee the WordPress plugin directory, she published a blog post which turned out to just be a simple request to people to, hey, stop using copy protection. She explains how copy protection degrades the user experience, as you just recently said, and how they make it difficult to provide tech support, and most importantly, explains how they don't work. Now, she does suggest that photographers use a watermark and to not put full-size images on the web. Maybe use a cloud service such as Amazon or something, so you could use smaller portions and hide the bigger ones behind the paywall. She also said that, in certain aspects, DRM is a solution, but DRM is just as much of a pain as anything else. So I actually did a search for copy protection on the WordPress plugin directory and came up with about 271 results. And I installed one called WP Content Copy Protection. Now this thing is loaded with features such as disabling the context menu, which is right-click, disabling text selection and browser copy functions, and all kinds of other things. So I said, I'm going to give this a shot, and I'm going to see how long it takes me, if it's possible, to get around this, to either download an image, find its URL, or to copy content. And as it turns out, on my test site, it took me 5 minutes. I mean, it was like, okay, well, the proof's in the pudding there. So what I did is I ended up using the browser developer tool called Firebug in Firefox. So what this allows me to do is inspect elements on a page, and it allows me to see where things are linking to, and the content within a paragraph tag, and I was able to find the exact URL, copy that, put it in the browser window, and I could download that, the full-size image. No problem. So it was just sort of proof in the pudding, to me. I mean, I sort of expected that that's probably the way it was going to go, but to actually go through that and see for myself, yeah, it's not really a big deal. I just don't understand. I mean, there's not really any good that can come out of this. Now, a lot of people have argued in the comments that, well, it protects the general casual web visitor from being able to right-click and downloading or doing whatever. But I don't know. I don't really think. I almost don't think those are the people you should be worrying about stealing their content. It's the ones who sort of have the know-how. But then, if they have the know-how, then might as well not even protect them in the first place, because they're going to find a way to get around it. I just don't see the purpose of copy protection plugins.
I'll lay down this challenge to anybody that's listening right now. Install one of these Copy Protect plugins on your site, and then give me the URL, and I guarantee I can download everything that you've got on your website within 5 minutes. The entire site. Entire site, except for protected content and stuff like that, as far as stuff like easy digital download stuff, or membership, things like that. Obviously that stuff is password protected, but in the terms of the usage and the functionality of these kinds of plugins, if it's just meant to keep the public out, come on, man, I can do this all day. That's like locking your car door and going, no one's ever going to get in. Right.
Yeah. So there's actually a pro version of this plugin, and I've reached out to the plugin author and said, hey, is there any chance you can give me a free trial or copy of the pro version of this plugin, because I want to see if the additional features prevent me from actually getting the content. So far, I haven't received word back from them, but if I do, I'll have a report either in a future post or right here on another episode of the Tavern. But yeah, I mean, I think copy protection plugins overall do more harm than good. So, probably just stay away from them. The 100% truest way to not have your content stolen online is don't publish it online. Just don't put it on the web. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, exactly.
So speaking of sort of copy protection plugins and stuff like that, there's one of the projects that's being revamped for possible inclusion into WordPress 4.2 is the Press This bookmarklet. Now, Press This is a is a tool that was added back in WordPress 2.6 back in 2008. So it's been around for a while. And if you go into your WordPress backend, select the tools menu, you'll see that there's a little thing that you could drag to your bookmark bar in your browser. And when you click it, it'll take some various things from the page you're on and sort of autofill those fields to help you create a post quicker. And some of the people that are working on this have brought up some issues of, whether Press This makes it easy to infringe on people's copyright, because you could just highlight the text of a page, it puts it in the content field for you and fills all this other stuff out for you, and it just makes it really easy. And there's been quite a bit of discussion on here, but ultimately I think it's the end user's responsibility. I mean, just because you can doesn't mean you will. I just
Have
think.
these people ever heard of Control-C and Control-V ever in their life? Really? What moron is saying this? Tell me. Give me their names. Who's saying this, Jeff?
Saying what?
Who's saying, "Oh, it takes too much. It's gonna ruin the internet by being able to"?
No, not that it's going to ruin
Who's
the
saying
internet.
this?
It's just a discussion of possibilities. That's all.
Well,
So
there is
there's
no discussion as far as I'm concerned. You can copy and paste anything. What's wrong with you people? Worry about other cool stuff. This is not something to debate.
So I think as Richard Best, I think he said it best. Boy, that's what a great last name, Best.
Hey, one of my favorite English teachers was Mr. Best.
So he says that it can, of course, or I should say, quote, it can, of course, also be used to infringe copyright by copying a full article without permission or copying the full-size copyright image without permission, but ultimately, Press This is simply a tool of convenience, and it's the user's responsibility to use Press This within the confines of copyright law, of course, or run the risk of copyright infringement, end quote. So yeah, I mean, generally, if you're going to use this tool to quickly write a post, I mean, just stay within the confines of fair use, and block quote some text, write your opinion on the matter, and that's it. You don't. It's just bad form in general. There's no reason to copy an entire post. I mean, that's not what it was meant for.
No.
I don't understand why you'd copy a full copyrighted image or a full post, anyways. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and if they really want to get bent out of shape about infringement, go visit Facebook. Knock yourself out. Every friend you know is infringed on copyright by sharing or doing some other things. Or at this point, I mean, I'm shocked that we're even having these kinds of discussions.
Well, I mean, I think I'm actually glad that this came up. It's something that I think needs to be discussed in one way or another, and I think sort of knew what the end result was going to be anyways, but just to flesh this out and have a discussion about it, at least it's documented. We could say, yeah, well, we talked about it, but no big deal.
That's right. So, and I did choose the bad cop card for today's show, so I have to stick with the argumentative role.
So Press This, actually, a number of improvements that they're doing to it is making it a really nice tool. So I can't wait to write about that once they're finished with it, if it gets included in 4.2.
And I'll say this. Let me tell you this about Press This. I do like Press This a lot. And the reason is because it is a conduit that gets me writing right away. If I want to talk about a specific plugin or something like that, it's perfect for me because it really gets the ball rolling as far as my creative juices and starting to actually create a post. So I like it in that sense, and also because it serves as sort of a little bookmark that I can at least get a post in draft so that I can come back to it later without having to copy and paste a specific link. Now, I have no interest whatsoever in copying and pasting an entire article and publishing that within the blog, but I do, however, like to have the link there so that I can provide proper attribution to the original author. If there is a thumbnail or something like that, I would probably change it to be more suitable to the sizing that my theme demands. And I like the convenience factor of it. So I think that outweighs any particular risk out there in terms of any copyright infringement because, well, simply I don't infringe. If anything, I'm helping the author by talking about whatever it is that I happen to be using this bookmarklet for. So I'm in favor of it. I was sad to see it kind of taken away before, and I'm happy that it's back.
And not only is it back, but it's going to receive some substantial improvements, which I think you'll enjoy.
Great.
So, awesome. If
Speaking of
for
substantial improvement, I love your next news article.
Yeah, well, go ahead by all means.
WordPress for iOS version 4.8 is released, and it added a visual editor.
About time.
And you know how much I've bitched about the mobile version of WordPress, and
Yes.
I've had so much fun playing around with this on my iPad now and being able to actually see the image and actually be able to wrap text around it and make some sort of a conformed post on my site with this. And I really applaud the mobile team. Jeff, I know they've been listening to us and complaining. So kudos, guys. Good job on listening to what we say.
Yeah. So if you take a look, it's a nice visual editor. So some of the most common formatting tools are added to the bottom. You don't get the whole kitchen sink, and then again, you don't need the whole kitchen sink. But bold, italicized, an add media button, black quotes, numbered list, and bulleted list, and then a button where you can add a link. But this is also neat. Just like the desktop version of WordPress, there's a toggle between HTML and visual, so you could switch between the different kinds of editors. And I will say that the presentation within the visual editor is it looks good. I tested this on my iPhone 5. Definitely do not type a post in landscape mode because you have like a little sliver of space to see your content. It's terrible. But definitely in the vertical mode, it works out pretty nicely. Now I did have some trouble with block quoting text, but I think it's just a matter of learning how to use it within the confines of how the editor expects me to use it or something to that effect. But other than that, everything else, it was nice to be able to style text or format it as I'm writing it instead of having to highlight everything at the end of the post and style it that way. So overall, it works out very nice, and they also added an image size selector. So now when you upload an image from your phone, you can choose to display it either at a large, medium, or thumbnail size or the full size. So there's that as well. There's a couple other bug fixes that were added into the release, and I got to say, probably with a much larger screen like you have on your iPad, it's probably really nice, just like you said.
Yeah, definitely.
On the iPad,
I like it because especially with my iPad, I'm able to even take a picture, right there and put it right in and see how it looks rather than having to upload it and go, oh, this looks like crap. And I can change the sizing of the image, the link, all that, all the alt tags and all the metadata that and titling and things like that for the image. So it's a huge improvement, and I think I'm going to be using my iPad to be making posts a lot more often than I did previously.
So with the iPad, do you actually see, because you have more screen real estate, do you see more formatting options than the ones that are in here, or is it the same ones?
Let me see.
Did you notice?
Let me take a look.
I'm just wondering, maybe this is just an iPhone version.
So here's what it's giving me. It gives me the option for images, bold, italics, strike through, which really, we're still using strike through, huh? Links, bulleted list, numbered lists, block quotes, and HTML. Those are my options.
Okay, so the one that is missing from the iPhone is the strike through.
Oh, well.
So
you should be
congratulations.
You should be protesting in the streets over that one.
Yeah, right. So overall, just really nice. It's definitely a much needed enhancement to the app. We're looking forward to see what other enhancements are in the future for the WordPress for iOS app.
Yeah. Hey, I got a piece of news that just hit the wire today. I don't even know if you talked about it yet, which is Twitter actually released their own WordPress plugin, an official one. Did you catch wind of this?
I have read about it. I have seen it. I have not used it. But if you got any more info, go ahead and let us know about it.
Yeah, it lets you add one-click sharing, so your visitors can tweet out your stuff, and it automatically builds the Twitter card for you. which is pretty cool. You don't have to do that like through Yoast or anything like that. It helps you add a follow button right in your layout. It tracks ad conversions if you happen to be using Twitter ads that go to your site, so it'll tell you right there through the actual plugin. It embeds the code for Twitter ad tracking. It lets you more easily embed tweets. You can customize the color scheme of embedded tweets. So that's nice because then you can match your site's look. So you can change the link color, the border color, or you can kind of choose between a light or a dark look on there. If you're already happy with your third-party Twitter plugin, I'd say probably stick with it. But this one is pretty nice, and you don't have to go through all those crazy app creations and the secret key and all that other crap that you normally have to go through. So I am very happy about this, that Twitter has finally embraced it. It's only taken 9 years of Twitter's existence to finally embrace WordPress.
Finally have a WordPress plugin of their own.
We appreciate it, guys. Bring it on. We love it. And then there's talk that they're going to enhance it even more. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing where this goes.
So it's nice to have an official Twitter plugin because you know that it's probably going to be the one that works best and with the things that Twitter has to offer, like you said, the advertising specs and things like that.
Yes, and there are no plugins out there that I'm aware of that do all of those functions all within one plugin themselves. So I applaud it and I thank them for their efforts.
Well, I'll be sticking with Jetpack because all I care about is pushing my stuff out on Twitter. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm wondering if that's what the majority of people just want. Just push it out there. That's all. But hey, now there's a different option and from the official people. So
That's
kudos.
Right. Yep.
So our last bit of news today is that on February 20, today. Actually, it was yesterday, but I reported on this today. There's been a high-risk security vulnerability discovered in the WP SlimStat plugin. Now, if you're using version 3.9.5 or lower, the plugin is susceptible to SQL injection attacks. On the security blog Security, they noted that this is a very high risk of being exploited. Out of a scale of 1 to 10 on their severity level, they labeled it an 8, so it's pretty serious. However, there's already a patched version available, and that's 3.9.6. So you don't need to know all the technical details on how everything is taken advantage of. You just need to know that you need to, if you're using this plugin, you need to upgrade to 3.9.6, and it'll take care of your issues of your security issues. You won't have to worry about it. Now, there is some additional information provided by the plugin author where if you're using a caching plugin, you have to flush the cache so that the tracking code can be regenerated with a new key. And also, if you're using SlimStat to track external websites, you have to replace the tracking code with a new one available, which you can access under Settings and Advanced. So spread the news, check on your client's websites, make sure that they're running the latest version of WP SlimStat if it's in use, and you won't have to worry about anything else. So with that said, Marcus,
I got one other thing.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I want to cover one more thing too, but go ahead.
The folks behind ASOP Story Engine have come out with Story.am. Have you seen this yet?
Yes, I haven't read into it just yet, but I am aware.
So it is, it's something new, and I'm still trying to kind of dive into it myself, but I've always been a Nick Haskins fan, and I really like the stuff that he's been doing. And this basically lets you kind of collaborate, just like ASOP Story Engine, the hosted version, did. And it's a dedicated hosting platform built just for storytelling. So I think this is kind of a cool, it's like the WordPress.com of stories, and it really allows you to kind of create, collaborate, and even sell your long-form content on this one platform. So check it out for yourself. It's story.am.
And if you backed Nick Haskins during his crowdfunding days for ASOP Story Engine, if you were a founder I think there's a backing level of founder. You have gained access to Story.am today. That was a big announcement that founders were now able to access Story.am. They got first dibs on it. So
Hmm.
hoping to read somebody's post who's a founder. Maybe they write about it and talk about their experience using it. But very, very cool. I mean, I know he's been working on this for a while. So congrats to Nick if you're out there, if you're listening. Congrats on finally launching this product. And one of the things to take note of on Story.am is this sort of custom-built front-end editor where you truly get to see what it is you're putting together, and they call it Lasso. So Lasso is the real-time story creation engine that they use for Story.am. So just really cool. And if I'll link to it in the show notes. But he's actually got a demo of, you have this front end editor. You got a button here for quotes. So you just drag the quote to where you want it in the story, and boom, it's right there. It's very nifty.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I found cumbersome regarding Aesop Story Engine is it was really a pain in the ass to kind of you had to work through their theme and it was clunky. I went to other things besides Aesop Story Engine because it was just so clunky and it never truly worked right with the theme that I was implementing. So I don't know if I got the scratch to become a founder of this just yet. The minimum buy-in is $144 a year on this.
Oh, okay.
But I will I'll beg Nick for a login. Who knows?
I'm sure you won't have to beg very.
I'm sure I
very
won't
hard.
get it either. But if it's front-end editing, I think that's a huge improvement. Hopefully they'll use this as kind of a beta test platform and eventually come out with a plugin that may do the same type of thing.
Flash that press pass, man.
Yeah. That and 25 cents gets me a bag of peanuts.
So before we roll out of here, we do have some time to give you an update on some upcoming events. Usually we don't get a chance to do this, but I'm on the WordCamp Central upcoming WordCamp schedule page. I just want to talk about some events that are coming up, starting with the weekend of March 6th through the 8th. And we have WordCamp Mumbai in India for March 7th and 8th. WordCamp St. Louis, which I just pulled the trigger on the other day. I will be attending WordCamp St. Louis on March 14th and 15th. After that, the week after that, is WordCamp London, March 20th through the 22nd. And then on that same weekend is WordCamp Dayton, which I'm also attending. I'll be speaking on a panel there, so I'm looking forward to that, March 20th and 21st. After that, we have March 28th through the 29th, WordCamp Seattle Experienced Edition. So WordCamp Seattle is actually doing 2 WordCamps this year, one dedicated to beginners and the other for developers, and this one's going to be for developers. And then on that same weekend as WordCamp Seattle, we have WordCamp San Diego, which, based on word of mouth and from what I've seen, that's going to be a big one. A lot of people are
When is that one?
WordCamp San Diego, March 28th and 29th.
Ooh, I'm going to have to go to that. Are tickets still available? I hope so.
Oh, I don't know. Let's take a look. Tickets, yep, all sold out. They sold out in 4 hours.
Damn, why didn't they invite me? I could have gone to that.
So, yeah, I knew WordCamp San Diego, for whatever reason, is one of those hot spots for WordCamps.
Yes.
After that, there's a bit of a break, but on April 11th, there's WordCamp Vienna, Austria. And then April 18th, WordCamp city in Slovakia. So, and actually quite a few. We have one in Belgrade, Serbia, Barcelona, and then back into Minneapolis near the end of April. So a number of WordCamp events coming up somewhere around you. Of course, visit central.wordcamp.org, and there's a link for the schedule to see see if there's a WordCamp near you upcoming. And there's got to be one around you somewhere, unless you're like, I don't know, in North Dakota, Wyoming, Alaska. There hasn't been too many WordCamps in those areas, but for most of the other bits and pieces of the U.S., there's usually a WordCamp or 2, or in my case, 3 in Ohio this year. So I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to WordCamp Orange County. They're going to use a a camping theme this year. Last year it was kind of like an arcade game theme throughout.
And that is June 6th and 7th, Orange County, California.
Yes, and you're going.
Yes, I will be going. I will be attending that one as well.
Awesome. So we're going to do some damage together in Orange County. That's going to be great.
Yes, it will. So with that said, Marcus, why don't you round it out here with your plug-in picks of the week?
Heck no, I got something else, Jeff. Don't be throwing me out the
What are
door.
you doing? How much news do you have?
This isn't news. This is, every week we try to at least beg for some iTunes reviews. And
Oh,
we
okay,
actually got
okay.
a couple.
Oh, okay, awesome. Awesome. I'm glad you look at this stuff.
Yeah, I want to acknowledge a couple people for doing that. It had been a couple months since we got in a review, so all of you out there, please help us out and go to iTunes. And even if you don't consume the podcast through iTunes, we still would appreciate you taking just a few minutes and letting the folks know on iTunes what you think of our podcast. It does help us with the rankings. And the higher up that we get in the rankings, the more people will start to subscribe and listen to the show. So, with that being said, user Prodport, his title of this review is Best Balanced WordPress Podcast I've Found. This is my second time trying to submit a review. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. I hope this one takes. As background, I'm new to WordPress. I came in from the Joomla camp, and I'm not a developer or designer.
Oh,
I'm trying
boy.
to get up to speed. I found this podcast to be very beneficial. It's not overly technical like some, but it doesn't spoon feed you either. It's a balanced approach of news, interviews, and plugin recommendations. On occasion, there may be jabs at the Joomla community, Jeff. But
Well, hey now.
But I've also heard a Joomla advocate on the show once. What I also appreciate is the hosts have been doing this a while. If you're a frequent podcast listener, you know that lots of people start podcasts but then abandon them. And that's understandable, as it takes a lot of effort to do a good podcast. These guys have been doing this a long time in podcasting years. I think the episode I started with was number 172, not too far back.
Yeah.
Well worth a listen each week. Nice review. 5 stars. We appreciate that.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for that.
Also, we have one from Darren Spence, and his title for his review is The WordPress Community at Its Finest. Marcus and Jeff do a good job with WordPress Weekly. Thanks, Darren. I appreciate you getting the order of the hosts right on that one.
Oh, for God's sake.
Entertaining, concise, and well-produced. It's a pleasure to listen every week. The guest speakers are always interesting and add value to every episode. Jeff and Marcus's involvement within the WordPress community means they're always informed with all the latest news and updates from the rest of the community. Sometimes you even get a bit of hot drama. Ooh, that's nice. Great podcast, and I recommend it to everyone I know every chance I get. Darren Spence, thanks, man. If you guys leave a review for us and you have a website that you want to put a link in, I'll read it. So that should be a little bit of bait.
It's the least we can do for a 5-star review. Hey, that rhymes.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm only going to read the ones that are 5-star reviews, so make sure you do that. But seriously, we do appreciate all of the different reviews that people have provided us. We've only had one star review, Jeff, and I think that's just somebody that didn't like you.
Well, that's okay. I probably know that person. I probably took that person out to lunch and bought him beer. I don't know.
Quite possible.
I don't know what happened there. Thank you, everybody, for the awesome reviews and for continuing to listen to the show. It's pretty awesome. It still boggles my mind to realize we have listeners from all over the world that tune in and listen to the show. So, again, I really appreciate you spending your time and effort continuing to be a loyal listener.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Okay.
Marcus, can we get to your plug-in picks of this?
Yes, we can get to my plugins. I know
think-
you're sick. You don't want to do the show.
No. That's not it. But
Oh,
I don't know if you've noticed, but we've actually gotten some feedback on some of the show notes pages that say this is the highlight of the show for them, and they really appreciate going to the show notes page, and they always check out the links to the plugins that you recommend. We've gotten some good feedback on that. So
Yeah, do people even know that I have another podcast that I'm on? I don't know if they know that.
No, probably not. So if you want to say what it is, I guess
It's
I'll.
WordPress plugins A to Z. I talk my co-host John Overall and I do plugin reviews. That's entirely what the show is about. All we talk about is different plugins, and John brings three, and I bring three. And I never try and bring the same ones to WordPress Weekly as I cover on WordPress plugins A to Z. So I do
Thanks. I
give
really
exclusive stuff.
appreciate that.
Well, you got to keep it fresh, man.
I
So
don't need to
let's
be
talk
hit.
about
I don't need
what?
to be hit with some Google audio duplicate content.
Yeah, that's true. So, if that were the case, Dradcast would never be listed.
Oh,
Boom.
oh, come on.
Hey! Come
Oh,
on.
jeez.
Where's my sound? I'm kidding. I love Dre.
I'm not giving the email address out
I don't know
anymore.
about that other guy, but Dre's awesome. Okay, so first plugin of the day, WooCommerce role-based price. Now, Jeff, this is pretty cool. It allows you to extend WooCommerce so that products can be offered at different prices for different customer groups. So you can have your subscribers or your contributors get a different price than somebody who's a guest or a completely new customer. You can even make it free for the people that are already in your system. So you can totally differentiate your registered users and reward them for their loyalty. How about that?
Nice.
Next one, Better Code Editor. Jeff, one of the most under-improved section within WordPress has got to be the editor. It's a plugin this one is a plugin that allows you to use one of 28 different color schemes within the editor, making it a much, much more enjoyable way to dig into that boring code of themes or plugins. I actually think this was pretty valuable. It's a numbered system, so you can just scroll down to whatever line that it happens to be within the code or the theme or plugins or whatever. And I like the fact that you can alter the way that it looks. It doesn't have to be the stock code editor that's just black and white. You can actually make this one a little more friendly, which I thought was pretty nice. What do you think about that?
Yeah, eventually at some point it'd be nice to have some effort put into. I mean, there was some effort back in earlier version of WordPress that actually made it numbered and did some pretty nice enhancements to it, but they had to remove that code either for performance reasons or something else, and they just haven't been able to concentrate on improving that area of WordPress because there's like a million other things that take precedence over making the code editors better. And of course, we've had all these debates over the years about whether we should even have code editors on WordPress because they're gateways to breaking your website. But from everything I've read, we're going to keep them. They're there, but it would be nice to see some things to enhance them. Who knows, maybe in the next few versions or something.
Hopefully so. Final plugin is WP Recovery. And no, you're not going to get a 30-day chip with this one. It's a plugin designed for disaster recovery in the event that something goes wrong. It's a simple one-click feature within the WordPress dashboard that restores the entire site to the last working state. So this is much like Windows, where you can kind of boot to the best.
Last no good configuration. That's what I thought of it as.
Yeah, that's the name of it. Yes. It's different than your typical backup and restore plugins because it's really just focused on getting you back to standard health of your WordPress site so that you can continue. So it's not really meant to be a full backup of your site. It's more meant to just restore things to get you operational again. And those are my plugin picks of the week.
So it should be noted that WP Recovery right now is, they consider it in the beta release stage at this point. And I wonder, maybe I might give this a test and see how it works, because I'm curious to see if you get a white screen of death and you can't access anything, how do you access WP Recovery?
Yeah. That's right. I mean, it has to be within the dashboard. So you're right. And it could be something with maybe something's tweaked with the theme or something that you mess up or something like that. But yes, I would like to see some sort of a safe mode Wouldn't that be nice that you could just do from a secret URL on the back end to kind of reboot things?
Yeah, to kind of to take you back. I mean, maybe that's I don't know. Maybe that's how it works. I'm not sure. We'll have to look into this.
Yes. Yep. So there you go, people. Check it out in the show notes. I've got links to all three of those plugins.
Oh, I see. It even backs up files and the database as well. So it must do all that, and then if something screws up, it just takes you back to the something in the database or the files or something. I don't know. I have to look it up. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, check it out.
All right, so that's going to do it for this episode of WordPress Weekly. Let's see, next week, March 4th. Do we have anybody from March 4th?
Nothing from me. What do you got?
I have nothing, but I can get something. I'll work on it.
I will tell everyone that we did book somebody who I'm sure everybody that is on social media must know him. Lewis Howes is coming on to the show April 1st, which is going to be pretty cool. Lewis has written a number of different social networking, growth types of books. One of them is Linked Influence, which really lets you leverage LinkedIn. I'm going to really kind of quiz him and ask him what the hell the problem is with LinkedIn, why we don't get some good WordPress integration with that. Not like he works for LinkedIn, but I'm just going to press him on it anyway because it's fun. But he also has a nice podcast called The School of Greatness. So maybe you guys want to check him out first, get a little background on him, and shoot us some questions. We're happy to put his feet to the fire and find out exactly how it is that that he uses WordPress, leverages WordPress, and we're kind of trying to go outside the box a little bit. By the way, I did get some very nice comments from our interview last week with Wade from Zapier. I got a few people that said I never heard of Zapier, but once I tried it, I freaked out. So if you haven't checked out Zapier yet or last week's episode, I highly recommend you do that.
Yeah, I ended up getting some feedback on Twitter from a listener that said, yeah, never heard of Zapier, but then I checked it out, and although I don't have a use for it now, I saw how awesome it is, and it makes life worth living. Now, that is like, I don't know how much more of a testimonial you can say other than that, but that was pretty cool to realize we exposed the service, which is a great service, to people who have never heard it before, and they too also see it as a tool in their arsenal of things that get stuff done. So that it felt pretty good about that.
Yeah, I think that's the first time that anybody had ever discussed Zapier in a podcast, let alone had one of the founders or the founder as far as the technology on the show. So I was really happy to have Wade's participation on the show. And we're going to start bringing some more kind of fringe guests, I guess you could say, that aren't necessarily directly in the WordPress community, but they certainly facilitate and bring different tools to us in the WordPress community.
Excellent. And I guess that's going to do it. That's going to wrap it up for the show. So if you want to find show notes for this episode and every other episode I've ever done, you can find it at wptavern.com. Up at the top, you'll see a drop-down list of links. Just click on podcast or find the WordPress Weekly category. They're all right there. And you can follow me on Twitter at Jeffro. That's JEFFR0. And Marcus, how about yourself?
Find me at my website, marcuscouch.com, which I encourage you to go to and sign up to my mailing list because I'm going to be I'm actually writing a book, Jeff. And I'm going to be beta testing some of the content within my subscribers only. It won't be blog posts. It'll just be within email and some secret links. So if you're interested in hearing some of the content that I'm developing for my book, which will be out by the end of the summer, I highly, highly recommend you go to marcuscouch.com and do that. You can also visit my Twitter feed at marcuscouch.
Awesome. So that's going to wrap it up for the show. God, I hope I feel better next week because doing a podcast like this is miserable. But we'll keep an eye on everything that's going on in the WordPress community. And until next week, I'll talk to you everybody next Wednesday evening. Everybody stay safe.